In Frankfurt, Europol agent Nina Balmer is running away from the black organization after catching Pinga infiltrating their building. Kir is pursuing on her bike, hoping to be the one to catch Nina so she can somehow spare her life. Kir catches up to Nina on a bridge. She whispers to Nina in German to jump into the river to escape while pretending to try and shoot her. As Nina jumps off the bridge, Jin shoots a bullet which goes through Kir's shoulder before hitting Nina through her head, killing her. Jin asks Kir to stop messing around, presumably adding to his suspicion of her. The detective boys are in a queue for a lottery, hoping to win a whale-watching boat tour. Haibara leaves the queue to get a ticket to purchase limited edition Fusey Campbell products, and gets the last ticket. An old lady who arrives after her is disappointed that she couldn't get the ticket, but Haibara decides to give hers to the old lady. Sonoko and Ran notices this, and Sonoko, seeing Haibara's earlier generous act, decides to invite everyone to her family hotel on Hachijo-jima and on a whale-watching cruise after the detective boys and Conan were all unsuccessful in the lottery. Subaru Okiya listens into the whole conversation. On their way to Hachijo-jima, Conan and Haibara learns about the Pacific Buoy through a news, with Haibara finding one of its creators Naomi Argento rather familiar. Upon arriving on Hachijo-jima, Conan briefly notices Shiratori also present on the island. After checking into their hotel room, Conan receives a call from Subaru, informing him of Nina's death at the hands of Jin and a black organization agent with cornrows named Pinga. They believe that the organization may have some plans with the Pacific Buoy. Conan, Haibara, Ran, Sonoko, Agasa, and the detective boys prepare to board the whale-watching cruise. Kogoro is MIA from a hangover. While boarding, Conan notices another boat belonging to the Japanese police, with Kuroda and Shiratori on it. He sneaks onto the police boat, asking Agasa to cover his trail by telling the rest he got onto the wrong boat. As the police boat arrives on the Pacific Buoy, Kuroda asks Conan to come out of hiding, being aware of his stowaway the whole time. Conan meets Yosuke Makino, the Pacific Buoy's director and chief engineer, and Naomi Argento, one of the main engineers and creator of a system that allows identification of anyone through surveillance cameras worldwide and also an all-ages facial recognition system. Yosuke and Naomi give Conan, Shiratori, and Kuroda a tour of the Pacific Buoy, during which they meet three other of the Pacific Buoy's main engineers, Grace, Ed, and Leonhardt. They later witness the launch of the Pacific Buoy's identification system. During a break, Conan, Naomi, and Grave leave to get coffee for the rest of the team. Vermouth and Bourbon break into the Pacific Buoy through an underwater hatch, disguising themselves as cleaners. The two pass by Conan, and are surprised by his presence although Conan fails to notice them. Vermouth and Bourbon ambush Naomi while she is alone in the toilet and kidnaps her, before escaping through the same underwater hatch. After realizing Naomi is missing, the team uses the surveillance system and realizes that she has been kidnapped by the two cleaners. Since the hatch can only be opened by the main team, the culprit must be one of them, and Conan believes one of them must be Pinga in disguise. Megure and Sato arrive on the Pacific Buoy and interrogate Yosuke, Ed, Grace, and Leonhardt. Vermouth and Bourbon locks Naomi in a room and retrieves a USB drive from her. The two then meet with Kir and Vodka. It is revealed the mission is to erase all traces of their existence on Naomi's system. However, in the USB drive, they chance upon data that suggests Haibara and Sherry are the same person, and Vodka decides they should kidnap Haibara to find out if she is indeed a shrunken Sherry. Vermouth, Bourbon, and Kir all object to the kidnap and feel they should keep to the plan, which annoys Vodka as he doesn't want to work with the three anyway while Jin is in Germany. Vodka says he will work with Pinga then by getting Rum to give Pinga the order, since Pinga will do anything to rise up the ranks. Later that night, after dinner, Conan updates Agasa about what happened on the Pacific Buoy and his belief that the organization is involved. Haibara overhears the conversation. Conan assures Haibara he will protect her and gives her his glasses as a protective charm, while he takes over Haibara's glasses. After they go to bed, Amuro attempts to call Conan to warn him that the organization is coming for Haibara, having located her with the identification system, but Conan does not answer the call. Pinga and Vodka drive up to the hotel while Chianti spots Haibara from her sniper rifle. Haibara senses the organization's presence and tries to escape, but opens her hotel room door to see Pinga and Vodka waiting for her. Pinga knocks Haibara unconscious with ether and the two kidnaps her. Conan is awakened by the commotion. He rushes out of his hotel room and notices Vodka and Haibara missing. He tries to chase the organization but realizes he cannot catch them. Ran is awoken by the commotion and jumps off from their hotel balcony onto the organization's car, and fights with Pinga. Conan notices Chianti aiming and firing a shot at Ran, and barely manages to push her out of the bullet's way. As Pinga and Vodka escape with Haibara, Conan distracts Chianti in order for Ran to get to safety before chasing after Haibara on Agasa's car. During the car chase across the island, Agasa and Conan split up in an attempt to corner the organization, but are caught off guard when Vodka drives the car off a cliff into the ocean. Unwilling to let them escape, Conan skateboards off the cliff and dives underwater, where he discovers the car to be empty. As he searches around for signs of the organization, he notices the submarine approaching him and surfacing. Conan is wiped away by the waves as the submarine emerges from underwater. Conan makes it back to land and reunites with Agasa, who completely breaks down into tears knowing Haibara is lost. Conan assures Agasa that he will rescue Haibara no matter the cost. Back at the hotel, Conan and Agasa report the case to Megure and Sato, but when the two do not believe Conan's story about the submarine, Conan snaps and yells at them. Ran later gives Shinichi a call to report the situation, feeling very helpless and terrified. She begs Shinichi to come over and help. Conan, who is making the call right above Ran from the hotel's roof, assures her that he, Shinichi, will be there if the need really arises, while taking out a single piece of the APTX 4869 antidote. Vermouth sends a message to the boss as she boards a flight out of Hachijo-jima, saying the system may be a Pandora box and a threat. Meanwhile, James Black, Jodie Starling, Andre Camel arrive in Germany and meets with one of Nina's Europol colleague. Conan calls Subaru to explain the situation. Conan says he will focus on rescuing Haibara, while asking Subaru to find a way to take out the submarine. In lieu of what has happened, Sonoko brings the detective boys home first for their safety, and tells the detective boys that Haibara is very ill and hospitalized as a cover-up. Megure requests Kogoro and Conan to join them on a trip to the Pacific Buoy, while Agasa and Ran decide to stay behind on Hachijo-jima as well to render help if needed. On the Pacific Buoy, the team attempts to retrieve surveillance footage to spot the submarine, but fail to locate any. When they later check and realize that there is no footage of the car chase between Agasa and the organization, they conclude that someone must have tampered with the system and footages. Haibara awakens and is locked in the same room as Naomi on the submarine. Naomi remarks how Haibara is very similar to a young Shiho Mayano. We learn that Naomi and Shiho were elementary schoolmates back in the US, and that Shiho had helped to step up to bullies who were targeting Naomi. After Naomi developed her identification system, she tried to locate Shiho, and Haibara eventually also showed up on the system, which was why Haibara was on the drive. Naomi blames herself for bringing Haibara into this mess, but Haibara silently notes that it is her who brought Naomi into this mess. Vodka is convinced that Haibara is Sherry and has asked Jin to fly in from Germany to see for himself. While Kir is restraining Haibara with ropes, Haibara sneaks a listening bug onto Kir. Amuro calls Conan to inform him that Jin will be arriving later in the evening and boarding the submarine, which means the submarine will be surfacing, making it a one and only shot for Haibara and Naomi to escape. A case then occurs on the Pacific Buoy. Leonhard had noticed suspicious records and realized who the culprit is. While confronting the culprit in his own room, Leonhard is knocked unconscious. Later on, in the Pacific Buoy's main room, a confession letter from Leonhard claiming to be the accomplice behind Naomi's kidnapping appears. When the team pulls up surveillance to find Leonhard, they find him getting a cup of coffee from the cafe before taking a pill and dying from poisoning. In Manila, while out walking her dog, Vermouth receives a text from the boss saying, "Crush it." Back on the submarine, Vodka orders Naomi to help the organization work the system. When Naomi refuses, Vodka threatens to harm her father, an EU Parliament member. The organization uses the system to locate Naomi's father, which alerts the Pacific Buoy, which then dispatches Jody and Camel to go protect him in Germany. The two FBI agents are distracted by an accident caused by Korn, who then later shoots down Naomi's father. Naomi breaks down, believing her father to be dead. Kir is reminded of her own experience with her father, but feels helpless. After being locked back into the room, Haibara tries to comfort Naomi and assures her that they will both escape, but Naomi is doubtful that children like Haibara and Conan can do anything. As Jin's arrival time approaches, the submarine ascends, allowing Conan to reach Haibara through her DB badge. Conan mentions how the submarine was submerged the whole time when Haibara was kidnapped and brought onto it, which means that there must be an underwater hatch for entry and exit. Kir overhears this, and knowing that she is bugged by Haibara, deliberately asks Vodka on the procedures of how to enter and exit the submarine. Vodka explains everything to Kir, which in turn gives Haibara her method of escaping. Conan and Agasa set off on a boat to the submarine's location. While Vodka, Kir, and the submarine crew welcomes Jin on board, Haibara and Naomi escape from their room and prepares to leave the submarine through its torpedo hatch. When Jin arrives at the empty room, one of the submarine crew members reveal that someone has entered the torpedo hatch and is trying to leave. While Haibara and Naomi waiting for the hatch to open and swim out, Jin arrives and Haibara instantly feels his presence. Unable to open the door to the hatch to catch Haibara and Naomi, Jin decides to pull launch lever, which will instantly kill the two. As he prepares to pull the lever, Kir stops him by pushing his hand. Kir reasons that they need Naomi alive for the mission and Haibara to find out why and how she shrunk, but Jin is unconvinced and pulls his gun on Kir, now suspecting Kir to be a rat. This buys enough time for the hatch to open and Naomi and Haibara to safely swim out the submarine. Jin and Kir's standoff is distracted when a submarine crew alerts them that they detected the escapees swimming away, and they set the submarine off to chase them. In reality, it was a decoy underwater scooter made by the professor and sent by Conan, who has arrived at the submarine. Conan, Haibara, and Naomi slowly swim to the surface as the submarine leaves to pursue the decoy. Naomi and Haibara are brought back to safety, much to Rant's relief. Haibara is worried about the organization now knowing her identity, but Conan believes he may be able to work something out if he catches Pinga. Meanwhile, the organization eventually realize they are chasing a decoy. Vermouth then sends Jin more data from the identification system, showing how it identified many people around the world with similar looks to Sherry, and thus the system is flawed and they likely had been pursuing a false lead. Enraged and realizing the system is obsolete, Jin decides to sink the Pacific Buoy after orders also come in from Rum, even though Rum has thoughts of how the system could help him track down the boss. As Naomi and Haibara are sent to the medical bay on the Pacific Buoy, Sato brings in a few cups of warm beverages for them and Conan to warm themselves up. While holding the cup, Conan realizes who the culprit is and rushes to the Pacific Buoy's main room. Upon arriving in the main room, Conan stuns Kogoro and begins his deduction. Because of the unplanned nature of both Haibara's kidnapping and Leonhardt's murder, the chemical used to knock both of them out is the same, and the culprit is the same person. The surveillance footage of Leonhardt's suicide is a deep fake. In actual fact, Leonhardt was knocked unconscious in his room, and then transported to the cafe using the same method Naomi was kidnapped earlier. Once there, the culprit poisoned Leonhardt, before disguising as him to present the footage of his apparent suicide. What gave away the culprit's identity is the way they handled the cup after sipping from it. Conan noted the culprit wiped the part of the cup where they sipped, which is a habit of ladies to remove any lipstick stains. Thus the culprit is Grace, who is actually a man in disguise, and in this case Pinga, having likely adopted the habit of wiping the stain as part of his disguise routine. Pinga removes his disguise and attempts to escape. Rand steps in for another brawl, but this is cut short when Pinga draws out a knife. Conan chases Pinga through the Pacific Buoy to the escape hatch and confronts him. Conan tries to get on Pinga's nerves by calling him a street-level Jin, but Pinga reveals he knows Conan is Kudo Shinichi and plans to bring Conan to Rum to gain himself a promotion and ruin Jin's reputation. Conan manages to give Pinga the slip before the escape hatch closes as Magyar and Sato catch up and try to arrest Pinga, but are unable to open the hatch. Conan apologizes to Sato for yelling at them earlier. As Pinga escapes to rendezvous with Jin and the submarine, Conan receives a call from Amuro. Amuro is shocked to learn Conan is still on the Pacific buoy and tells him to leave ASAP as the organization is about to destroy the place. Amuro has also relayed the warning to Kuroda, who orders an evacuation of all civilians. Akai then calls Conan as well while heading over to the Pacific buoy with a weapon from the US military capable of taking out the submarine. Though Amuro initially mentions his dislike for US weapons being used in Japan, he notes that there is no time and acknowledges Akai as the organization's best sniper. Akai also acknowledges Amuro's skills. Akai tells Conan he needs to know the submarine's location in order to take it out. The submarine begins firing multiple torpedoes at the Pacific buoy, but Yosuke launches several decoys to successfully redirect the torpedoes. Vermouth remotely disables the decoys, allowing 2 torpedoes to hit the Pacific buoy and cause it to begin collapsing, forcing Yosuke to call for a full evacuation. Agasa, Conan and Haibara take a boat out to sea. Conan uses his gadgets to dive underwater to the submarine's location. Conan is nearly caught by the impact of torpedoes hitting the Pacific buoy, but manages to use his ball dispensing belt to dispense several firework balls, setting off a series of fireworks underwater and exposing the submarine's outline to Akai, who then fires the weapon which hits and disables the submarine's functionality completely. In the chaos, Conan loses his breathing device and falls unconscious. As Conan begins to sink, Haibara dives in and revives Conan. The two share a breathing device as they slowly ascend up to the surface. Pinga swims over to the submarine, unaware that it is now defunct. He texts Jin to let him into the submarine but gets no reply. When Pinga sees the escape craft to the submarine is missing, he realizes Jin has deliberately set this up for him. The submarine has been set to self-destruct as it contains sensitive information of the organization, and Jin, Vodka, KIR, and the submarine crew have already escaped. The submarine blows up, killing Pinga in the explosion. Haibara and Conan resurfaces on the wrecked Pacific buoy. Haibara falls unconscious. Ran attempts to resuscitate her, but Haibara kisses Ran, telling Conan that he has returned his lips. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Remember to like, share and subscribe to support our channel, and don't forget to press the notification bell button to not miss upcoming interesting videos. See you later.